Welcome to Secrets Out Idaho. Each week, we let you in on the secrets of Southern Idaho and speak to the people who make it such a unique hidden gem. I'm your host, Connie Stouffer. On today's episode, we'll hear what it was like to represent Team USA in front of a crowd of 200,000 people and what it was like to live out your childhood dreams when we talk to professional motocross racer and supercross champion, Jake Weimer. And hear why after 13 years of racing, he's glad to be back home in Rupert, Idaho. Jake Weimer, thank you for joining me on Secrets Out Idaho. I'm really excited to learn about growing up here in Rupert, your career as a professional motocross rider, and what you're up to now. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be on.
Yeah, so I'll just start off by having you just tell me a little bit about yourself for those who maybe don't know who you are.
Yeah, so like you said, my name's Jake Weimer. I grew up here in Rupert, since I was a kid, and went to school here and did the normal just day-to-day life, and got into racing, and that over the years became more and more serious as I got older and got a little better. So but as far as just living here and growing up, I had a fairly semi-normal childhood, and aside from the racing part. And then when I was 17, I ended up signing my first professional deal. And from there, that took me to Southern California. So I was there from when I was 17. I just turned 31, so I raced 13 years professionally. And like 10 days ago, moved back to Rupert.
That's awesome. So that was just the high level. So 13 years as a professional motocross racer, that probably took you all over the world, got to do a lot of really exciting things. Kind of tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a kid, it just started as something fun. My dad raced when he was younger, and, I think I was 4, and my dad had a bike. So, as a 4-year-old, your dad's your guy, he's your hero. So, I wanted a motorcycle. So, it just started out as fun and games. And as I got older and better, it became more serious. So, even since I was probably 10, 11 years old, I started traveling to amateur nationals and, places, Oklahoma, Texas, Tennessee, just kind of all over. And then, by the time I was in my teens, it became more serious. I dedicated my life to it and spent a lot of time practicing and training and getting ready and trying to make it on the big stage. And that was, professional supercross and motocross. So, like I said, by the time I was, early teenager, that's what I wanted to do. And that's what I lived my day-to-day life and sacrificed to get there. So, it was a long road, and it was tough, looking back now. It's, it seems like such a cool thing. But I remember at the time it was tough, it was, financially it was tough, for my dad. And, but, the better I got, you get more support, get more help. And, by the time I was 15, 16, 17, I was at a level that, it was reality that I could do it. Maybe even a little bit before that it seemed that it was possible to do it. So, And then as far as the professional career, turned professional, signed my first deal when I was 17.
How was that as a teenager? Like really like making it and signing that deal? Was that was it overwhelming? Was it all those dreams realized, or where were those feelings?
It was a while ago. So, but thinking back at it, the way I remember it now, is that I don't remember feeling overwhelmed, because I had dedicated and committed my life to doing it. So as it became closer and more of a reality, your mind starts changing. So by the time I was 16, 17, I knew that, all right, this is where I'm going. So once it eventually happened, I don't remember feeling like overwhelmed or anything like that. Just excited, for the opportunity, and that all those years of, practicing by myself every day, and, which a lot of times wasn't fun. You want your buddies to be there, but, my buddies were off doing other things. But I knew that it was something I had to do. I had to put in the time to get to where I wanted to go. So, At the time of signing my first deal, I just remember being really excited. That was the difference. Really would have been, it maybe would have lasted very short term. But that just was the door that opened. That was like, all right, it's game time now, because, you've done all the work and now it's time to step up and get in there. So I just remember being really excited. And, I get the question a lot, which I'm sure we'll get into that later, but, what was it like moving to California or now moving back to Idaho? But at that time, as a 17-year-old kid, I was just so excited at the opportunity that I had. I didn't even really register like, I'm leaving home or I'm going to have to live in California now, or that didn't really register. I was just ecstatic to have that opportunity in front of me that I had dreamed about. So that was the feeling that I remember having.
Mm-hmm. So you talked a little bit about when you first started wanting to ride a motorcycle. It was kind of because your dad was into it, and what inspired you. What, during the course of your youth, did it click that you're like, this is what I want my job to be? This is what it's not just a hobby on the weekends for fun. Like, you want to make this a reality.
I don't remember the specific day, but I'm going to say I would have been 8, 9, 10 that at that time I decided this is what I'm going to chase. This is what I want to do. I don't want to be a firefighter or a police officer, kudos to them. But that just, in my mind, this was, at that, right around that age, 8, 9, 10, it was my obsession. I'd go to the grocery store and get the magazines or watch it on TV when I could, or, that's all I thought about. So I would say, around that age is when, in my mind, it clicked that this is what I want to do. I don't think at that age I realized what it was going to take, or even if it was possible. But in my mind, that was where I was going.
Well, it's kind of a gift. Most people don't know what they want to be when they grow up, when they're grown up. And so to have that vision and that drove you to do all the hard work that it required is kind of a gift to have in your
Yeah,
kid.
well, I mean, like you said, I think typically an 8-year-old's dream, I'm sure there are some out there, but an 8-year-old's dream is like, I'm going to be some bigwig lawyer. As a kid, you start playing sports or whatever, and most kids are like, I'm going to be a professional baseball player, football player, whatever, something that we do as a kid that's just a passion that we have. And luckily for me, it was my passion, and I was able to turn that into reality. So it was always the same thing. I don't ever recall wanting to be or do anything different than what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about, when you signed your deal and you moved to California, you get there, you're away from home. I bet it was pretty exciting. Southern California's got its perks, definitely. Mm-hmm. But did reality set in that you were away from home and family and away from Idaho? And
no, that didn't set in till much, much later. I'd spent so much time with my dad traveling the country, racing and chasing the whole amateur scene that, him and I were together every day and spent hours in a motorhome or, whatever, just driving across the country, racing motorcycles. So he came with me when I was 17. And so I don't, as far as missing family or home, I don't think that really registered with me. And for a few years, and then I started thinking like I'd come visit home, Rupert, and man, I really miss it here, whatever. But that grew as time went on, and the longer I was away, and especially the last couple years where you can, you see the end of your career coming, and then those thoughts started coming in my head, like, do I want to go home? Do I want to stay here? And so as time went on, I started missing family more and more, and home. So, like I said, that became more of a thought years later, because 17, 18, 19, I was just in the thick of it and learning, and so focused on my goals that, I honestly didn't really have a lot of time to even think about that. So.
Well, it's so great that your dad was able to travel with you. I'd read a little bit about how he kind of helped invest in your career early on. And then it's exciting that probably for him to see you reach those pinnacles of success and see you on those podiums and all of that. So.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, for sure, it wouldn't have been possible without him. You hear a lot of athletes or people that have had success say that about their parents, but it really is true. I mean, he sacrificed his life to help me, and I mean, clear down to, at the amateur level, it was really expensive to go race, and we didn't have much, and dirt bikes are expensive. Traveling the country is expensive, and the motorhome, and we definitely scraped by to do it. And I mean, he sold a second, third generation farm to stop farming to help me do it, and we'd need some cash to get to a race, and he'd be out at the farm cutting up scrap metal, and just anything we could do to get to the race. He did it. And, I remember one time he couldn't even come for some reason. He called around and got a buddy of mine that raced, and my grandpa drugged me to Vegas and met them in Vegas, and they took me to Texas to do an amateur national. So it was a lot of work. And like I said earlier, at the time it seemed really tough, and it was, but looking back now, it feels like a cool story for me and something that I'm proud of. Had things maybe not worked out the way they did, I don't know I'd feel that way. But luckily, we both sacrificed our lives, and thankfully it worked out.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So retired now, recently retired, but I'm sure you still have a lot of motorcycling ahead of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still plan. It's something I've done my whole life, and I get asked that question quite a bit, but it's, just because I retired from professional racing does not mean that I don't like it anymore. I don't, you can only do it for so long. And, if you would have told me when I was 17, hey, you're going to do this for 13 years and this is what you're going to accomplish, I would have been stoked. So,
it's pretty physically demanding. Like when I see the races and things like that, some of those big jumps and those landings and just how intense
there's injuries involved that play a role, and I've had my fair share, and, luckily I'm relatively healthy, and I'll, nothing too crazy, but, the injuries take a toll, and it's a lot of physical work. But probably the hardest part about it is just the mental aspect of it. And, you got a lot of pressure on you, and people paying you money to perform at a certain level. And, we race 17 weekends out of the first 18 weekends of the year.
Oh, that's a lot. You're on the road pretty much.
You have Easter off. Excuse me. You have Easter off. So you're constantly, in planes and traveling, and, and then we have 2 weeks off, and then the summer series starts, which is motocross, the outdoors. And then that is more physically demanding than that series that's in the beginning of the year. But and then you throw in some one-off races at the end of the year, some European races or whatever it may be. And, it's a full-time deal. It's not like we have, 3 months off. We had 3 months off of racing, but that's when you're getting ready for the next year, and you're training and you're testing and, trying to get better. Because when you're in season, it's tough to improve, because you can only work so hard during the week and still be able to show up Saturday and not be sore or tired, or so. It's a very methodical deal, and it's just a lot. So at some point you're just going to be done, and for me, it was just, I got to that point, and I was injured pretty bad, late 2017. And that one took a real big toll on me, and kind of came back from that, but just, the injury was tough, and it was just, I just was at that point where I saw the light at the end, and I just knew that, I just turned, at that time I was 30, and, I have a wife and a little daughter, and I don't know, you just start to, I don't know, just for me, it was just, I just knew that, all right, well, this is it. But I guess to get back to your original question is, I'll still do some fun races and local races and just whatever I want to do. I don't have to do anything now. So that's
kind of nice.
That's nice. And it kind of puts some fun back in it. I'm not going to say that racing professionally wasn't fun, but there was definitely times when it wasn't, just because it's a tricky thing when your job is your love and your passion. It can be tough to keep that passion there. And for the most part, I would say I did. I mean, there's definitely times where it's not enjoyable, but for the most part, it was a great career for me, and I still love it. So, I'm happy the way that it came to an end.
Yeah. So talk about some of those highs though, like what your career highlights, like top things that you are.
Yeah. I mean, the first one is obviously for me would be my Supercross championship. That was something I had literally, dreamed about. That was the pinnacle for me. And to do that in at that time, a somewhat dominant fashion was just ultimate satisfaction and just a feeling that you can't put into words. And that one was big. And I was always pretty good at Supercross, just naturally. Motocross, it was tougher for me to be good. And so I got a couple, some wins there. And I remember the first one was just because even that day, my goal was not to win. My goal was I want to get on the podium and then to win. And, it was just such a great race. And I had showed up that day and did my job. And I remember feeling really good about that. And, I would say the other one was, with people that aren't familiar, we have what they call Motocross Des Nations, which is essentially our Olympics for motocross. Every country picks their 3 best guys and you go race. And I was picked for Team USA, and the race was in Italy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think there was like 200,000 people there or something.
Oh my gosh.
And we were able to win for America. So that one
was
always,
huge, I bet.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, just so many people, and you're in a foreign country, and just incredible. Probably the most pressure that I've ever felt.
Because you're not only representing yourself and like all your sponsors and everything, but you're representing your country.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. And we have, a lot of American fans, and they love this sport, and they get involved, and they want to see their country win. And we had won several years in a row going into the year that I raced. So, there's that pressure too, is you don't want to be the team that loses the streak for America. And so we definitely had all we could handle. But yeah, we ended up pulling it off and got the win for America. And that was just being in a foreign country and just so many people, and
200,000 people. That's hard for me to wrap my mind around.
It was
that many people.
Bonkers.
Yeah.
It was truly just one of those things. It's hard to, talk about those highlights for me. 'Cause for me, it just brings up a feeling, it's hard to put into words what that means, but it stems clear back down to, I always, tried to remember where I came from and be true to myself and not change through the whole process. And, it just takes me back to, living out north of Rupert, and I had a little track out there, and, just putting in hours and hours and hours, and like I said earlier, a lot of times by myself. And it was just, and you stand on the podium in Italy with, hundreds of thousands of people around, and you just done something incredible. It was something I'll never forget for sure. But I would say those are the big ones that stand out in my mind.
Yeah, those I would imagine.
Yeah.
So speaking of bringing back to your roots in Rupert, your family just moved back, your wife and your little girl.
Yeah.
What made you decide to come on back, and tell me about that transition?
Well, I mean, for me, growing up here, every time I've come back, and when I was racing, I didn't get a lot of opportunities to come back. Some years, usually I'd try and come back once a year, but there was a handful of years that I couldn't even do that. But every time I came back, it was just home. It just gave me a feeling of, all right, this is home. And so, my wife and I had discussed whether we would or wouldn't for years, and she's been here several times, and she liked it here. And
where's your wife
mind
from?
you, she grew up in Huntington Beach, California.
Oh.
So it is literally opposite. But, I think there's truly what brought me back here was a couple things. One, it's where I grew up. I like the way of living. I like the lifestyle. People are friendly. They're real. You're not sitting in traffic for 2 hours a day. It's a beautiful place to be. Lots of outdoor activities. And I think it's a good place to raise kids. And I have a 3-year-old now that'll soon go into school, and we'll have more kids. So I felt that it was a good place to raise my kids, and the timing of everything really worked out. And I just thought there was some great opportunity for me here, business wise. And the timing was just perfect for me, retiring and trying to figure out what I was going to do next. But, Rupert's growing, and I got involved with the guys at High Output, and we got some stuff we're working on. And it was just, there's a lot of opportunity in the area, and I feel it's a good place to raise a family.
Mm-hmm. So your little girl, she's 3, which is just a little bit younger than you were when you started racing. You think she's going to get on a bike? I don't know. I really don't. I would let her, and I would let her ride, and I would not push it. And unfortunately for what I did, there's not really a market for women to really. So I would really, really, I would not let her take it super serious. And that's sad to say, but just for our sport and what I did, there's no future for her in that. There's, she can go and she can race and win races and all that, but she's not, as of the way it is right now, there's no living for her in that. So I would really strongly not want her to do that. If she wants to ride and have fun with it, absolutely, that's fine. But aside from that, I've been to some little local races, and there's nothing cuter than seeing a little kid on a bike with their little bobblehead helmets on there getting ready to race. And it's pretty cute.
So if she wants to, I'd let her, but we're not taking it serious.
Yeah. See where she goes. She's only 3, so she's got some time.
But she has the personality that I'm sure she will. She's a little bulldozer, and she's I think she's got a little tomboy in her, so I wouldn't be surprised if she would want to, but we'll see. Doesn't matter to me, honestly.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm fine with it.
Whatever she wants to do.
Yep.
So you mentioned part of it was that you thought it was a great place to raise kids. What about the Rupert area makes it such a great place for families and for kids and growing up here?
Well, I think for one is just that it's kind of back to what I said is, I think that there's real people here and friendly, and people wave at you, and going off of that is also that it's small enough that you can, raising a teenage daughter or something, you can have a better idea of what's going on, where you're, as opposed to living in a big city or something where it's hard to keep tabs, I guess, which I don't feel that I'm that way. But I mean, for sure, if I have a 15-year-old daughter that's driving, I want to make sure she's okay and not, getting in any trouble. And there's just something about this area, and that I think the general consensus is just that people work hard, for what they have. And I want her to have that character. Is, I worked really hard for what I had, and, I think that it teaches good morals and good ethics, and I just think it's a good place to kind of learn that. There's a lot of hardworking people around here, and it's a few different reasons, but it's in those lines somewhere, just that it's small enough that I feel that you don't kind of get lost in the rat race, and, you can kind of, keep some fresh air. And I don't, it's kind of a little tough to say, but that's how I feel about it. I think it's a good area to be. Mm-hmm.
So you said your wife's from Huntington Beach, California, and she'd had a chance to visit a few times before you guys made the move. Was there anything that sold her on it, or was there a couple of things, or kind of what was sold it to her to make the move?
Oh, I don't know if it was one thing. She, the things that we enjoy doing, we can be down there on the river, which it seems the last few years people are, using it more. You know, when I was a kid, and I could be wrong because I was a kid. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but you know, on the weekends, you see everybody with their boats tied up and hanging out. And, you know, that's something that we like. And, you know, we can utilize the river and just a slower pace of life, honestly. My life, you know, and she traveled with me 90% of my professional career. And our lives were pretty hectic, you know, and very, very stressful. So I think that was probably something that we both liked about it, is that, you know, now that the professional side is done, and it's almost like we can just sit down and take a deep breath and just relax a little bit, because there was a lot of years there where it was just really stressful. And so, yeah, it's just a nice scenery and just a much slower pace of living.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a good transition to kind of part of what we try to do on this podcast is share kind of the secret spots that people have. So having grown up here and being out, you know, all over Southern Idaho, what are some of those, your favorite spots, you know, that someone who's coming here for the first time, or maybe people who live here but just haven't gotten out and explored, should definitely check out if they're going to enjoy it? Yeah,
I would say it's probably a little different for everybody. You know, for me, the things that I enjoy doing are outdoor activities. You know, I like to hunt. I love fishing. You know, I like motorcycle riding and snowboarding and snow biking and just all those outdoor activities. So there's, you know, this is about a perfect place to be for all that. You know, you can drive from where we're sitting right now in 45 minutes. You can be up at the ski mountain. And, you know, another place that I enjoy going is like up in Sun Valley, go fishing up there. And there's great restaurants that we like to go eat at.
What are some of your favorites?
I'm trying to think of what it's called right now, but we've been going there since I was a kid. I can't, you'll have to come back to me on that one. I can't, I could drive there, but I can't think of what it's called at the moment. Yeah, I mean, we like going up there and spending the weekend and, you know, and it's a little more, you know, it's smaller here in Rupert, a little more country-ish. But then, you know, if you want to get a little town action and some shopping or some, you know, fancy restaurants or whatever, you can go to Boise, you know, and then it's more like you're in a city and you can do those activities. So it's really a nice place to be, just in the sense that I feel like you can go within a couple hours in any direction and get what you're after, whether that means, like I said, you want to be in the city and go walking around shopping or go to a football game. Or you more like the country style and you want to go hiking, or, you know, you can go within a couple hour radius and do whatever you want to do. You can really find anything you want.
Yeah, that's one of the things that some people say, oh, I couldn't move to a small town because I'd like to go to concerts or whatever. I'm like, well, how often do you go to concerts?
Yeah.
Like a few times a year. Like you can make the drive a couple of hours, and then the rest of the time, every other day of the year, you're not in traffic or paying crazy prices to live somewhere, so you can go to a concert a few times a year. Yeah,
and I mean, and some people just may not care for the country living, which that's fine.
Yeah, because I think you really want people.
Because I mean, I have friends from all over, and they're like, "Oh, how is it up there?" And you know, man, I don't know, maybe we'd move up there. And just talking about it, I'm like, well, you know, if it's a little too slow here for you, you can go up to Boise, and you'll find whatever you want up there, and it's a more, like I said, more city feel to it. But I like Boise as well, just because it has that city feel to it, but it's not so big that, you know, you feel trapped. I don't know. That's how I feel. I'm sure other people feel differently, but for me, that's how I look at it.
And so just 10 days been back, right? So
Yep.
It's probably going to take a little while maybe, but are you already feeling kind of like back at home and some of that less stressful?
Yeah, starting to. It was just a ton of work to get moved from California to here. And so, you know, the first week, all we did was in the house trying to get stuff put away and try and get sorted out. And we still have plenty of that left to do. But now it's at least slowing down a little bit to where, you know, we're going out a little bit here and there and, you know, go to the Drift and get dinner or whatever. So starting to get some time to where we can, you know, go enjoy the things that brought us here. So, but as of now, we've just been so busy that we haven't had, a lot of opportunities to kind of get out and go do some stuff. So, but I'm sure within the next week or two, we'll get settled and, you know, start doing the things that brought us here.
That's awesome. So earlier you mentioned some of the things you're working on now with high output, and what's on the horizon. What should people check out, or what's?
Yeah, so we have a couple different things we're working on. I got involved with them and to try and create some things. So one thing that we're working on is I'm a motorcycle guy, and this area doesn't have a lot to offer as far as tracks. So we want to get a facility put together, an RV park with a motocross track, and potentially some other activities like some side-by-side track. There's a lot of people here that enjoy side-by-siding. So there's a lot of people here that enjoy the same things I do, but we need a place that we can all go and do it and have fun and make it safe and utilize the country that we have. And so that's something we're working on. And doing some stuff with the local dealership and just trying to, encourage people to buy motorcycles and, let's go ride. So, so we're still sorting pieces of the puzzle out, but, that's, as of right now, that's what the goal is we're working towards getting, like I said, getting that facility going and, getting involved with the local dealership Let's Ride and trying to get people, get them to come in and buy bikes so we can go ride, and, snow bikes, which we're all getting into now.
Those are super fun.
Yeah. So just, trying to, I guess, advertise a little bit and just get it out there and get out in the community that, hey, we're all getting into this and we're going to be around doing it. So just try and get a group of people and go have fun. I mean, when I was a kid, there had to have been a group of, 40 of us that would go ride in the hills or go ride at a track or whatever. But there was just a fun, cool group that, the whole community, there was a lot of us, and we'd go and enjoy on the weekends, and kind of want to get that back a little bit. I felt like, I left, so I haven't been around much lately, but I just know talking to people, and there's not as many people riding now as when I was a kid, and I would like to see that, get back to where the healthy state of motorcycle riding and racing and, whatever it may be, snowmobiling, snow biking, side-by-siding, all those things. It's just, that's what I'm, things that I enjoy doing, and I want people to know that, let's go ride, let's go do it, let's go snow bike, let's go trail ride, let's, whatever it may be, but just give a little push and, get it going.
So if there are folks who are new to riding or getting back into riding, or maybe they've got a kid that's wanting to get into riding, how do they get hooked up into this group that you guys are putting together?
I mean, it's not a structured group. Maybe I shouldn't use that word. It's not a structured group, but I just mean in general, just, a community of people that, come into the dealership. We'll be around.
And which dealership is that?
Let's Ride.
Let's Ride dealership.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Let's Ride in Hayburn. And, I'll be around, and, this summer, I'll probably be doing some classes, some schools teaching people how to ride. And so, just kind of opening that door that, hey, this is what we're doing. We're here. And if you want to take part, we're around, and we'd be glad to help and get you out there and, teach you properly how to do it, try and make it as safe as possible, and just have fun with it.
That's not, I've gone dirt biking a handful of times, and it was super intimidating when I first got on there, because I was like, I'm going to end up in the trees over here. But having someone show you is the difference between it. If someone had just been like given me a bike and put me out on a trail, I wouldn't have ever done it again.
Right.
But I think that's awesome that you guys are going to have some classes. And
so, I mean, again, exactly what you said. I mean, I just, people, I want them to know that, hey, if you have a little kid or something that wants to get going, like, we're around, we can help and, pick out the right bike for you and, get you a class to, try and teach you to properly ride and, make it as safe as possible, like I said. So, it's what I grew up doing forever, and, it's just what I know. So I would like to, if people are interested, then I'd like to help them out.
That's awesome. And if someone wanted to go see a race, where are some good races that are maybe in the general region? I know there's not probably a ton in the Magic Valley, but like, what are some that if they wanted to just kind of see professionals in action?
Well,
I think there's a big one that they do in Salt Lake sometimes.
Right? I don't think they're having it in Salt Lake this year, though. I think they moved it. But there's probably the closest professional event would be in Las Vegas. They'd have 2 a year. One's in May. It's the season finale for Supercross. And then there's one in October that's called the Monster Energy Cup. And those are both cool events. And the one in May, the Supercross finale, is usually exciting because typically the championships are decided there.
So that's the one that you won.
Yeah. So sometimes people have the championships wrapped up before that, but generally speaking, that's where the titles are handed out. So it's usually a good race to be at and a lot of fun. And then as far as the local racing, I'm actually, again, I've been here 10 days, but it is something I'm interested in. I'm not current on it at the moment, but I will figure it out just because I would like to participate in some of those. Yeah. But the only thing that I know of that if people were interested in some local racing is I know like the big series around here is called RMX, and I believe they have a website. Don't quote me, but I'm sure you could Google it and find it. But I think it's rmx.com.
Okay. We'll try to find it and link it in our show notes.
Yeah. But I know that's like a big series around here, and I know the guy that runs that, and I know they do a really good job. So, and I know they put on some races here at the Rupert Fairgrounds in the spring or summer. I don't know their dates, but they'll have them on their website. And yeah, that's probably the closest answer I could get you on that.
No, that's pretty good. So is there anything that I missed that people should know about either Rupert or moving to Idaho, or just, things that that you want to share about living here or about motocross? No,
I mean, it's just pretty much what I said, already. It's just, it's I'm trying to think of something else that I haven't already said.
We covered a lot.
Yeah, we covered a lot. And, I do think there's a lot of opportunity here, and, it's growing. There's a hotel going in on the river right now. And
that's going to be pretty, I think.
Yeah, that'll be really pretty. And, potentially a restaurant that'll go in next to it. And, so it's growing, and I think there's going to be, jobs opening up, and, I guess compared to Huntington Beach, which I don't know if anybody in Huntington Beach is going to listen to this, but maybe. You
never know.
You never know.
Maybe they're like, I hate it here.
These podcasts are blowing up, so I guess you're right. They definitely could, but, and I guess the only other thing that I can think of that, is financially it's easier, it's an easier way of living. So, no, I mean, kind of everything I already said, but, I guess that's the only thing I could think of that I haven't mentioned, but, it's a little easier to get a family by, up here.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, Jake, thank you so much for joining us on Secrets at Idaho. It's been really awesome to learn about your career motocross and about growing up here in Rupert, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks for having me on. It's always nice to chat and, just tell the story. So, yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Secrets Out Idaho. You can follow Southern Idaho Economic Development on social media or visit southernidaho.org to learn more. Please take a moment to leave a rating and review and subscribe so you can be the first to hear more Secrets Out Idaho. Until next time.